Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep into Pigeon Forge, Tennessee today.
Sounds fun.
It is. We've got a ton of cool stuff to unpack, from Dolly Parton's, well, everything, to some under-the-radar attractions, even gonna touch on Guy Fieri's Flavortown.
Oh, yeah, Pigeon Forge is like a theme park paradise.
Totally. But we're going beyond the obvious, digging into some of the history, maybe unearthing a few hidden gems along the way. Ready to be surprised.
Always. What have you got?
Well, let's start with the queen herself, Dolly Parton. I mean, she's practically synonymous with Pigeon Forge at this point.
Yeah, her influence is everywhere, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we gotta start with Dollywood. It's not just another theme park. It's consistently ranked as the #1 theme park in the U.S. Why do you think that is?
Hmm. Well, I think it really captures that Appalachian spirit.
Yeah.
It's authentic. You've got traditional crafts, music, food, all that good stuff.
Right. You get that genuine Smoky Mountain experience, but with thrilling rides and entertainment thrown in. But before we get lost in Dollywood, let's talk about Dolly Parton's Stampede dinner attraction. I've heard it's more than just your typical dinner show.
Oh, it is. It's like a full-on spectacle with incredible horsemanship, music, special effects. It's super engaging.
What makes the horsemanship so special? I mean, it's horses, it's dinner. What's the big deal?
Oh, it's a big deal. Think like choreographed ballet, but with horses.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously impressive stunts. And they've added a new segment called, get this, Butterfly Dreams.
Okay, now you got my attention. Butterfly dreams. That sounds dreamy.
It is. Picture horses with flowing butterfly wings, graceful movements, flower petals falling from the ceiling. Then they've got aerialists doing acrobatics high above it all. It's magical.
Wow. Dolly really knows how to create an experience. It's not just about the entertainment, it's about the heart, too.
Exactly. It's like stepping into a storybook.
And speaking of storybooks, back to Dollywood for a sec. Over 50 rides, live music, craft demonstrations. Where does someone even begin?
Right. It's a lot to take in. I think it helps to prioritize what interests you most. Are you a thrill seeker? Go for those roller coasters, like the lightning rod. More into arts and crafts. Check out the blacksmiths and wood carvers. Or maybe you're all about the music.
I think that's key with any big theme park, but figure out what you really want to experience. And speaking of music, Dollywood has some special events happening right now.
Oh, yeah. They've got the I Will Always Love You Music Festival starting March 14th, celebrating Dollies. Well, you know. And for those who love bluegrass and country, their 4th annual Winter Music Series is in full swing.
Perfect timing. So we've got heart, we've got horses, we've got music. Now how about a little history? Because in Pigeon Forge, you can actually step back in time and experience the Titanic.
You mean the Titanic Museum attraction?
Yeah.
It's not just a museum. It's like you're actually on the ship. Life-size replica, real artifacts, the whole 9 yards.
I mean, how do they bring that to life? Is it just looking at things in glass cases?
No. You can touch a real iceberg, feel how cold that water was. You can even walk along a sloping deck, simulating what it felt like as the ship. Well,
Wow, talk about a powerful experience. That must really make you connect with what those passengers and crew went through.
absolutely. And they give you a boarding pass with the name of an actual passenger or crew member. You follow their story, learn about their life, and then discover their fate in the Titanic Memorial Room.
It's history but personalized. So moving.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. From history to something, well, a little more whimsical. Ever heard of Wonderworks?
Oh, yeah, that upside-down building. Like it just crash-landed in Pigeon Forge, an amusement park for the mind, they call it.
It's definitely an attention grabber. So what kind of amusement are we talking about?
It's all about hands-on exhibits, exploring science, technology, art. Over 100 of them, spread across 6 wonder zones.
Sounds perfect for families. What are some of the highlights?
Let's see, a hurricane simulator, a bubble lab. Well, you can even lie on a bed of nails.
Okay, you've got my attention again. Bed of nails. I mean, how?
Physics. But safely, of course. They've also got a glow-in-the-dark ropes course, laser tag. Something for everyone.
And these wonder zones you mentioned, those each have a different theme.
Yep. Natural disasters, physical challenge, light and sound, they really cover a lot of ground.
So you could spend a whole day there easily. Speaking of covering ground, Pigeon Forge has some incredible outdoor adventures too. Like Anakista, high above the town.
Anakista is interesting because it's not just about the thrills, though there are plenty of those. It's about connecting with nature, with the beauty of the Smoky Mountains.
Oh, not just your typical mountaintop tourist trap.
No way, they've got a 14-bridge treetop skywalk. Imagine that. You're walking among the trees, fresh air, stunning views.
Now that's what I call a breath of fresh air. And didn't I hear they have the highest point in downtown Gatlinburg?
Yeah, the Anavista Tower. 360-degree views you can see for miles. On a clear day, you can even spot landmarks in Kentucky.
Wow, that's impressive. But for those who want a little more action, Anakista has that covered too, right?
Of course. The Tree Venture Challenge course, you go right into the trees. You climb, crawl, slide. It's a blast. And then there's the dueling zipline adventure. You and a friend can race side by side through the treetops, over 2,400 feet.
The views from up there must be amazing, but they've also got something a bit more, well, magical. Tell me about Astrolumina.
Astrolumina is the first Lumina enchanted night walk in the U.S. It transforms the mountaintop into this luminous wonderland after dark using lights, projections, sound. It's like stepping into a fairy tale.
And it's great to know that amidst all this fun, Anakista's also giving back to the community.
Definitely. They're donating $1 from every ticket to flood recovery efforts. So, good times for a good cause.
That's awesome. But speaking of good times, for those who maybe aren't into heights, Pigeon Forge has the Smoky Mountain Alpine Coaster.
Yeah, the Alpine Coaster is great for those who want a little more control over their thrill. You drive your own sled down the mountain, you control your speed, and it's open late.
So you can enjoy the scenery, but you can also get your heart racing.
Exactly. And at night, it's a whole different experience.
Yeah.
Zooming through the darkness with the lights of Pigeon Forge twinkling below.
We've soared through treetops, taken in mountain views, raced down slopes. Pigeon Forge really delivers on adventure.
It's amazing how many ways there are to experience the Smokies here. And don't forget, we've just scratched the surface. We still have the old mill, the island, and food. We haven't even talked about food yet.
You're right. So much more to explore. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back to dive even deeper into the heart of Pigeon Forge. We're back and ready for more Pigeon Forge. You know, we've talked about all the exciting stuff, the rides, the shows, but Pigeon Forge also has a rich history.
Right. It's not just about the glitz and glam. There's real depth there.
Exactly, and the Old Mill is a perfect example of that. It's been a landmark since 1830, even before Pigeon Forge was officially, well, Pigeon Forge.
Wow, 1830. That's almost 200 years of history. So it predates the whole tourist town thing.
It does. It was actually the heart of the community back then. Essential to the town's development, you know?
Wow, so it wasn't just grinding grain. It was grinding out the town's identity.
Pretty much. And get this, it's still operational today, using those old school methods to grind grains into flour.
No way. Talk about a blast from the past. You could actually see it in action.
Yep. They have guided tours. You can see the massive millstones working. And it's not just about the mill itself. There's a whole complex built around it, capturing that old-timey charm.
Oh, I love that. So what kind of stuff can you find there?
Well, there's the Old Mill restaurant, known for its southern cooking, all made from scratch, local ingredients, and their pancakes. Don't even get me started on those pancakes.
Oh, I've heard about those.
Ooh.
Buttermilk pancakes, right. Legendary.
They are. But if you're not in a pancake mood, there's the Pottery House Cafe. You can dine surrounded by handcrafted pottery made right there. And of course, you can't leave without ice cream from the Old Mill Creamery.
So they've got savory, sweet. What more could you ask for? Wait, did you say something about a distillery?
Yep. The Old Forge Distillery. They use grains from the mill to make small batch spirits. Think whiskey, moonshine, a real taste of history.
Wow, so they've really got it all covered. History, food, crafts. Now let's fast forward a bit and talk about the island. You can't miss that giant Ferris wheel.
Right, the Great Smoky Mountain Wheel. It's iconic. But the island is way more than just a Ferris wheel. It's like 23 acres of entertainment, shopping, dining, live music. Where do you even start?
Well, I'd probably start with a Ferris wheel, actually. Get a bird's eye view of everything. And speaking of heights, they've also got this awesome 3-story ropes course.
3 stories high, so not for the faint of heart, but if you prefer to stay grounded, there's tons of shopping, souvenirs, local crafts, all kinds of stuff.
And the food. They've got every kind of food you can imagine. Casual spots, fancy restaurants, even Margaritaville.
Right. Margaritaville, they've got the hotel and the inn, so you can really live that island life. Okay, but for our next stop, I'm thinking something a little more indoorsy, a little more, well, mentally challenging. Escape rooms.
Oh, escape rooms are so much fun. And the escape game right there on the island is supposed to be one of the best.
Yeah, it's award-winning. What I love about escape rooms is that they make you think outside the box, work as a team. It's not just about being entertained, it's about engaging your brain.
Totally. And the escape game has a ton of different themed rooms, so you can pick your adventure. Mystery, prison break, even defusing a bomb.
Intense. Okay, let's switch gears again. We talked about ziplining at Anakeesta, but for those who want a different kind of mountain thrill, there's always the Smoky Mountain Alpine Coaster.
Right. The Alpine coaster is cool because you control your own sled. You set the pace, enjoy the scenery. It's a different kind of rush.
And it's open late, so you can race down the mountain under the stars.
That sounds amazing. But all this excitement is making me hungry. And speaking of food, we gotta talk about Guy Fieri's Flavortown.
Flavor Town. It's like stepping into one of his TV shows. Bold flavors, over-the-top dishes, pure fun. What are some of the must-try items?
Oh, you gotta get the trash can nachos, piled high with everything, and the burgers, of course. Guy's famous award-winning burgers. Each one's unique.
I'm drooling just thinking about it. And it's not just a restaurant, it's a whole entertainment complex.
Right. Arcade games, bowling, even a tiki bar. It's like a party.
The perfect place to let loose. But amidst all these well-known spots, we also found a bit of a mystery. The Frizzled Chicken Cafe.
The Frizzled Chicken Cafe. It was mentioned on Dollywood's website, but they didn't say much about it. It's like a hidden gem waiting to be discovered.
I know, it totally piqued my curiosity. What do you think it's all about? Is it the name, the food, the atmosphere?
Who knows? That's part of the fun, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the best discoveries are the unexpected ones.
I love that. It's like Pigeon Forge is full of little surprises. But before we wrap up, there's one last category we gotta explore. We've covered so much ground in Pigeon Forge already. From the mountaintops to the history, even got a taste of Flavortown, so to speak.
It's been quite a journey, and yet we're not done. There's one last stop on our Pigeon Forge adventure.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say. We can't forget about the food. All this exploring has definitely worked up my appetite.
Absolutely. And Pigeon Forge is a foodie's paradise, no doubt about that. We've touched on a few places like the Old Mill Restaurant, the Island, and of course, Flavortown.
But there's still that mystery we need to solve. The Frizzled Chicken Cafe.
Yeah.
Do they serve frizzled chicken? Is it just a fun name? What's the deal?
It's like a culinary question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like that. It shows that even with all the planning and research, Pigeon Forge still has surprises in store.
I agree. That's what makes exploring a place like this so much fun. There's always something new to discover, even if you think you know it all.
Right. It's about staying curious and open to those unexpected delights.
Okay, so as we wrap up our Pigeon Forge deep dive, what's the biggest takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think it's that Pigeon Forge is more than just a collection of attractions. It's a blend of history, adventure, entertainment, and that warm southern hospitality. The key is to embrace the variety. Find what speaks to you, and don't be afraid to go off the beaten path.
I love that, because it can be overwhelming, right? There's so many choices. But if you focus on what you're truly interested in, it makes planning a trip so much easier.
Exactly. Don't try to do everything. Pick a few things that resonate with you and really dive in.
And who knows, maybe you'll even uncover some hidden gems of your own along the way. Speaking of hidden gems, what's the one thing that really stands out to you about Pigeon Forge? What makes you want to pack your bags and go right now?
For me, it's that sense of wonder. It's a place where you can feel like a kid again, where your imagination can run wild. Whether you're soaring through the treetops or stepping back in time on the Titanic, there's a magic to Pigeon Forge that's hard to resist.
I totally get that. And maybe, just maybe, on our next trip, we can finally solve the mystery of the Frizzled Chicken Cafe.
Now that's a challenge I'm willing to accept.
Thanks for joining us on this Pigeon Forge deep dive, everyone. We hope you've been inspired to plan your own Smoky Mountain adventure.
And remember, no matter what you choose to do in Pigeon Forge, the most important thing is to have fun.